Earlier this year, my team and I started a direct rental fleet. And in this video, I'm going to talk about why we did this, what we did, and how we did it. Now, I want to emphasize that this video today is not teaching you how to start your own direct rental fleet, and I am by no means saying that this is what you should do or that it's the best way to go about doing it. I just thought that it was finally time to start talking about my experience in this endeavor, and that's what I want to do today. Now, for those of you who don't know me or my content, I'm a Turo host and content creator, and with the help of my husband and employee Todd, I have a 31 car rental fleet. And to be honest, we're actually buying cars very aggressively right now, so depending on when this video goes live, I may actually be closer to 35 cars by the time this video is published. I joined Turo back in 2017 when I was in my early 20s, and I have literally made hundreds of videos on YouTube and on social media talking about how to get started with Turo, why you should get started with Turo, and how much I absolutely love the platform and love this side hustle and business. But in Q4 of 2024, I came to the realization that it was time to diversify. And that's ultimately whenever I decided that I wanted to start doing direct rentals. Now, when it comes down to why I decided to start a direct rental fleet, there are really a couple of reasons. First and most importantly is diversification. I beat the diversification drum on my channel all the time. I talk about the importance of multiple streams of income, keeping your day job, but the truth is, as my fleet has grown, my income has, as a byproduct, become less and less diversified. And while we do have a camper van on platforms like Outdoorsy and RVshare, and in the past we have worked with other platforms like GetAround, all of these had and currently do offer diversification, I knew that if I want to continue doing Turo at the rate in which I'm doing it, and if I want to continue growing my business, I really need to diversify. Secondly is Turo's limitations with vehicles. Turo has a policy on their platform of only allowing cars with 130,000 miles or less that are 12 years old or newer, and while I totally get why Turo has this policy, with my business model, this leaves a lot on the table. Some of my most reliable, most bulletproof cars are cars that are older that no longer qualify for Turo, which means that while my current Turo vehicles that fall into this category are grandfathered onto the Turo platform, it also means that I can't buy any new ones today in 2025. And with that, I saw an opportunity. So my team and I started offering direct rentals for older, economical, reliable cars that otherwise wouldn't qualify for Turo for one reason or another. And so that's the premise of what we started our direct rental fleet under, and so far it's been going really well. So that's the why, but now let's talk about the how and the what. What did we do and how did we do it? Now, I guess I should have prefaced this earlier, but for those of you who may not know what a direct rental fleet is, what this means is that we operate a car rental agency and we rent cars directly to customers outside of Turo. This means that we need to have the independent booking software that actually facilitates the rentals, the insurance, the vetting. Everything is on us, and let me tell you, it's a lot. Now, one thing that I do want to note is that as we've begun to implement direct rentals, we've basically done this with our course, the Car Sharing Masterclass, in mind. I want to be able to replicate the direct rental business startup and process for course members. So we've made things like contractual and website templates, guides, and we've really systemized this process so that it can be easily replicatable for other people wanting to get into this. This is going to be awesome for course members in the future, but it also means that it took a long time to get our own direct rental business started, and it also made the entire process much more expensive. We are using a rental software called HQ Rentals, and this will certainly not be my only video where I talk about HQ Rentals because I've been super happy with the platform. HQ is the backend to your rental fleet. It integrates with your website so people can book directly on your site. There's a ton of cool integrations like insurance verification, toll integration, even insurance white labeling, which we don't do yet. And whenever someone books, you can manage that reservation, the contract, extensions, payments, all through HQ. It truly is kind of the backbone to your direct rental business. Without HQ, none of this would be possible. But we also need a website because without a website, then HQ really has nothing to integrate into. Now, the website can be as easy or as difficult as you make it. We had a developer from Upwork develop ours. This was a developer that we've worked with in the past, and it cost about $1,500. I am a firm believer that anybody can build a website if they dedicate enough time and YouTube tutorials to the endeavor, but I didn't have the time, so I paid somebody to do it. We hosted this website through WordPress, we had a developer build it for us, and then it integrated within the HQ software so that people could book through the website. Next is the car rental contract. Of course, without Turo, we have to have our own car rental contract. We hired a lawyer to do this, so it was expensive and it cost about $1,000. But it was well worth it, and that contract integrates with the HQ rental software. That way, whenever a guest books one of our cars, we have the ability to have them sign the contract online, which makes it super easy. Trackers was another component here. We had to get more robust trackers. For our Turo fleet, we just use simple OBD2 port trackers that we tuck into the dashboard in order to conceal them, but with our direct rental fleet, we wanted a tracker that could kill the ignition if need be. And this was actually a lot more expensive than I anticipated. We ended up taking the car to Car Toys in order to get the tracker installed, but I think in the future, HP will probably just install it himself. That was about $300, and then the tracker itself was also about $300. So all in, we were about $600 in trackers. We got our tracker from One Step GPS, which is our preferred tracker, but you could probably use a variety of different ones. And while the service for the higher end tracker is the same price as the cheaper one on a monthly rate, it is more expensive to buy the more integrated tracker for like the hardware than it was for the OBD2 port ones. But now we have the ability to disable a car if a guest refuses to return it, if they're not extending it, if they're not paying, which was very important to me given the fact that the safety net of Turo is no longer there. And last, we have insurance. This was definitely the most expensive and also the most daunting part of this entire process. I called over a dozen insurance companies and no one would even humor the idea of insuring our fleet. And I was left with basically one sole option, which was GMI. GMI is a commercial auto insurance company. Many Turo hosts use them, and they're basically one, if not the only insurance option for small-time rental fleets. Now, when it comes to insurance, obviously there are a ton of insurance companies for personal insurance, for commercial and business insurance, and there are even a growing list of Turo-friendly insurance providers. But when it comes to small-time rental fleet insurance, there are very, very few options. When it comes to Turo, there's a growing list of Turo insurance providers: Tent, ABI, Roamly, GMI. In fact, with our Turo fleet, we use Tent, and with our camper van, we use Roamly, and they actually just integrated a car-sharing insurance plan that they have with their platform. And now we have a third insurance provider for our business, which is GMI for our direct rental cars. Now, I want to mention that one of the reasons why getting insurance for our direct rental cars was so difficult is because we are not putting our Turo cars into our direct rental fleet. We are developing an entirely new fleet. So whenever we were in the process of getting insurance, we were just wanting to get it for a couple of cars. We were not wanting to get it for our entire 30-car fleet. And most insurance companies for rental car agencies actually have a minimum. And so the fact that we only wanted to insure a few cars, that's where we ran into issues. So if you have a 30, 40, 50 car direct rental fleet and you're looking for insurance, you're going to have a lot more options than what we had. So GMI was nice because they didn't have the minimum, and they're also nice because they do have some really nice perks. For example, they do have roadside, which was a huge benefit given the fact that we no longer will be able to use Turo roadside for the direct rentals. And while we do have AAA, which we could use in an extreme instance, obviously AAA isn't really designed for this purpose either. However, GMI is very expensive, and whenever you're signing up for it, sometimes it feels like you're in the early 2000s because the sign-up process feels extremely antiquated. To insure my fleet, it's about $140 per car. We had to pay a startup fee of nearly $1,700, and this included things like a deposit, the first month of insurance, and miscellaneous other fees. And I thought this was absolutely insane. But again, because we really didn't have any other options, we just paid it. Now, in my quest of looking for insurance for my direct rental cars, I did find a number of companies that are going to be rolling out direct rental insurance products in 2025. And so I am keeping an eye on that, and I will keep you guys posted on that. But unfortunately, none of the timings for like these companies ended up working for what we were looking for. But it does mean that if you are wanting to get started with direct rentals in either late 2025 or in 2026, maybe you'll have better insurance options than I did. So we have the cars, we have the systems and processes in place, and now it's a matter of actually getting the customers to rent our cars. And this is the hardest part of the entire process. This is a topic that I will no doubt discuss in more videos because I could probably make an entire series of videos when it comes to marketing your direct rental fleet. And I also don't want to pretend like I'm an expert whenever it comes to marketing direct rental cars because, as I mentioned, this is something that we are still experimenting with on our end. But as someone with a marketing background, and this is not my first rodeo when it comes to selling stuff online, I do feel as though I started from a pretty good spot with my past experience. And so with this in mind, we're doing a lot of pay-per-click ads. We have ads running on Google. We also have ads running on Facebook. And weirdly enough, we've been running Facebook Marketplace listing ads, not like proper ads that we pay for, but just making listings on Facebook Marketplace. And we have found a ton of success through the avenue, which is great because it's completely free. Now, our goal with our direct rental fleet is to pretty much purely cater long-term bookings, so we aren't looking for that person who's flying into Dallas and looking for a car for a few days. What we are looking for is that person who either doesn't have a car or their car is broken and they need a long-term rental. Now, this has been a bit of a learning curve because, for example, whenever we first launched the direct rental fleet, we actually had our minimum booking day set to 7 days, and then we charged a $250 deposit. But the problem with this was that meant whoever booked one of our cars would have to pay roughly $500 upfront in order to reserve that vehicle. And with the type of clients that we work with, they are typically lower income and they don't have $500 to just spend on a rental on a random day. So we have been having to experiment with what is our minimum day that we want to be able to offer to guests, or at least what is the minimum day that we want to charge for rentals with our vehicles. And this is definitely a learning process. We really haven't found that perfect balance, but it is something that we are actively working towards because the affordability of our cars and what guests have to pay upfront has been a bit of an issue for us. Now, as far as growth strategy goes, we're doing our direct rentals, I think, a bit different than what a lot of other Turo hosts do with their own direct rental fleet. And what we're doing is we are not listing our Turo cars on our direct rental website. We are building out a completely separate fleet that is not listed on Turo. Now, the reason for this is what I mentioned earlier, which is that we're building a direct rental fleet with reliable cars that don't qualify for Turo. But I'm going to be honest, the other reason why we aren't doing this is because I do think that this is a bit of a gray area for Turo terms of service. Technically, according to the Turo terms of service, you can't cross-post the same car on multiple platforms. So for example, in the day and age of Get Around and Hire Car, you could not list a Turo car on Turo, Get Around, and then Hire Car. And while the Turo terms of service does not say anything specifically about direct rentals, I do think that this is a gray area, and it's a gray area that I personally do not want to be in. Now, I'm going to be honest, a big reason for that is because of my public platform on social media. I know that Turo watches my videos, and if it is a terms of service violation, I don't want to be caught making that violation publicly, and I definitely don't want to give Turo a reason to ban my account. And so for this reason, I just feel more comfortable building out a completely separate direct rental fleet that really has nothing to do with our Turo cars. But there is some additional underlying reasons as well. For example, I don't want to have to worry about double bookings. My husband and I have a camper van that's listed on our Vezi, Outdoorsy, and RV Share, and we also have an Airbnb that's listed on Airbnb, VRBO, and Bookings.com. And I know from experience what it's like dealing with double bookings, and it is a big pain in the butt, and I would prefer to not have to deal with that. And for that reason, I think just growing two different fleets differently with different purposes is the way to go for me. Now, you may be wondering what this means for my Turo fleet, and the truth is it really doesn't mean anything. I am still incredibly happy with Turo, and I am still all in with Turo. In fact, last month was our best month that we have ever had as Turo hosts, which was amazing. But I also think that it is my responsibility as a business owner and as a boss that helps support other people's income that I need to play my business as safe as possible, and I think that in the case of my business, diversifying is the right path to go down. And now that we have a shop and an employee, and with some future plans that HP and I have with our businesses, diversification is just extremely important to me. So this isn't any sort of reflection of my feelings towards Turo. No, I am not leaving the Turo platform. In fact, I have big plans to continue to grow my Turo fleet this year, but I will just be growing it in conjunction with growing my own direct rental fleet as well. And so yeah, this is a project that we've been working on for a pretty long time now. I haven't talked about it because I wanted to get it up and going, feel like I knew what I was doing before I publicly spoken about it on YouTube. But I do feel as though I am getting to that point, and we have big plans whenever it comes to not only our direct rental and our Turo fleet, but also the content that we produce around that. So make sure to stay tuned. And like always, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it. So make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell. And I will see you guys in the next video.